Welcome to the Startup Grind.
I'd like to start off with getting the audience to know a little bit about yourself. So where are you from? What did your parents do?
From Sacramento, California. I grew up in Elk Grove. Not really Elk Grove, I guess Sacramento, but like on the cusp of Elk Grove and Sacramento. Mom was an executive director at a company called, at the time, Western Career College, and my dad was big time on construction and had a construction business. And I have a brother who's a year younger but much taller than me, which is upsetting because I wish I was as tall as him. But yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's probably envious you in some other ways.
Yeah.
So as a kid, what did you want to do as a kid? Like, what did you inspire to be?
To be honest, I wanted to make money. I was not a standard child. I didn't like toys. I didn't go. My mom she'll tell the story still today, she hated to take me to Toys R Us because I'd go down every aisle until I can find something I really wanted, and I didn't love toys. Like, I've never been to Disneyland, which I need to go because people tell me it's awesome. But yeah, I had a fake cash register, and I sold like lemonade all the way to firewood, to pretty much anything I could.
What was like your first kid business then?
Well, the real business, I think it was probably firewood. A buddy of mine had a cabin up in Georgetown. What we did is we'd go up and we'd cut wood, and we had like Douglas fir, and we had oak, and they had different, we sold them for different prices because some burned longer. So we'd go in a wagon door to door and sell them, and we took the money to go buy hash browns at a restaurant. Like, we wanted money for our own hash browns. It was weird, but, and then I ended up working as a busser there, so that was even more weird.
You said hash, and I thought that's something else.
No, hash browns. I think I was 11.
We have a cannabis startup in the back.
Okay, cool.
Hey, John.
Word.
So I'm actually going through your LinkedIn, and it looks like and actually going through your record, and you basically made this leap from, going from college to becoming a realtor. Tell me, that was like, to me, being having Asian parents, that seemed like a really big step. Is just to, stop going to college and make this leap into real estate.
Yeah, my mom wasn't too happy with that. She went to college. She has her master's. My dad went to college at Davis, and so they're like, "Hey, you're going to go to college." I'm like, "Awesome, I'm going to go to college." I wasn't really good at English. Like, English was just speaking English. I can speak English, but I was really bad at English class. And so I at the time they were giving everyone loans. I told my best friend, "Dude, I got to move out of my parents' house." Like, when you're 19, 20, all you want to do is like hit on chicks, right? So like, I couldn't do that at my mom's house. So I said, there's got to be a better way to do this and meet people, and I wanted my freedom. And so I called my best friend. I said, dude, they're giving everyone loans. Let's just go buy a house. They're giving everyone loans. So we bought a house at 20, and that's when I saw my realtor at the time, who was also my lender. So she made like $15,000 in commissions. And I was like, man, she was not great. Like, if I can suck and make 15 grand, like, sign me up tomorrow. So I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just kind of like, I know I can do better than that. And so I called my mom. I said, I'm getting into real estate. They just hired me as a realtor, which I didn't know back then. They pretty much hired anybody who can fog a mirror. So I was like, I just passed an interview. It was so cool, and I'm going to be a realtor. And if you're starting out as a realtor, the first thing you do is you write a check. And so I was like, Mom, I need a loan. They want me to write a check to get my business cards, to get like the MLS, to get contracts.
Oh, really? You have to actually pay for that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's your independent contractor. You're your own boss. And so I called her and got some help, and then I said, hey, I'm dropping out of college, by the way. We can talk about it later. And so I literally just didn't even show up to class the next day, and I just went full in on real estate.
So you're really successful. Like, what do you attribute to being successful in real estate?
My first year I sucked. I sold one house. It was my girlfriend at the time's dad's house, his house. And I made like 18 grand, so I was like rich, right? At 21, I was like, 18 grand, that could last me for like 2 years.
Right.
And so I did that, but then I really put some fundamentals in place, and I got a coach. And I, big time on sports, all basketball players, football players, I ran track, everyone had a coach, and I learned disciplines that, hey, the best of the best have coaches, why don't I? And someone referred me to a coach in...
Was it like like a sales coach or a real estate
It was a
coach?
real estate coach, and so what they taught you was, in real estate, you have to think about it. You're going from a standard W-2 employee role, and then you go into entrepreneurial land, which you're fully working for yourself, 100%. So I don't know if anyone's done that, but it's a complete mind shift.
Yeah.
And you're at home, and next thing you know, it's like, I'm going to watch this TV show, I'm going to do this, and next thing you know, you're not prospecting. And the coach really taught me processes like how to do calls, how to write personal notes to people, how to build relationships, how to stop by people's house, how to actually tell people that you're in the business. You have to think, I was pretty young, I was 20. I tried to grow a mustache, I didn't have a mustache. People thought I was 10 years old, so think about this. I'm going to go and say, hey, you should, help me. I'm going to help list your house. And you're like, this is a $500,000 home, kid. Like, my kids are older than you. Like, that's a hard sell to somebody. So they taught me how to work on just how I spoke to people, how to build up my confidence, how to present myself where I can be still young, but maybe better than some of the other folks. Average age of a realtor back then was around 62. So, you're going against a 62-year-old and me. Who do you want to sell your house? You probably don't want a 20-year-old. I can tell you that. So it was a challenge, but I'd say the most, I became successful through the coaching and learning disciplines that probably my parents, I was too, I wasn't too behind the scenes back then, where my parents couldn't have taught me that if they wanted to. I was just, I'm going to do my own thing. You guys can't tell me anything. I know everything in the world, and the coach really was able to dial in some processes.
So the coaching, that's actually interesting. So the coaching process, was it something you met with them on a weekly basis?
Every other week. So it's kind of like goals. You're like, hey, I want to lose, I got to get all this work done, right? Let's say I have 10 things on my to-do list and it's due by next Thursday. Most likely I'm going to do it probably on Wednesday, right? That's typically how it happens. Or you do your homework on Sunday night that's due on Monday, right? The same thing happened with me with my coach. We'd agree and say, hey, here are the things we're going to do. I'm going to go, have 3 lunches with people. I'm going to, call 10 of my previous clients. I'm going to add, X amount of people to my database. I'm going to hold a networking event. Whatever those things were, I knew I had somebody calling me in 2 weeks, and I knew I had to say whether I did it or did not.
So you're accountable.
100% accountable, yeah. Accountability, I do well with accountability.
So at some point, how long did you have the coach for?
That particular company, I had a coach for around 3 years, and my business grew really fast. And then I went to a different coaching company. It was like the Navy SEALs for real estate coaching. And it was brutal. And that was really where not only did I learn how to build a business, but I learned how to go from kind of a practitioner working with the clients to building a team where I was able to leverage other folks that built the business to be bigger. So I went from being the person that showed you homes and went to list your home, to having a buyer's agent that would now show you homes. And do it the way that I believe that the best philosophies were, where I was able to grow. I mean, you only have a certain amount of hours in a day, and so the Navy SEALs was where I learned how to run a true business.
That's interesting. So did you carry on to, when you started SkySlope? I will go to SkySlope, but did you end up having a coach or mentor when you moved on to SkySlope, or?
No, so the company that I was originally with was Buffini & Company. It was a real estate coaching company. It was phenomenal. And then I went to something called The Core, which was a little bit hardcore, because what they did was they taught you how to have a personal budget, which is like the B word. No one wants to talk about budgeting, right? They taught me how to read a profit and loss statement. They talked about net income versus gross. As realtors, we have all this gross income. We're like, hey, look at me, I sold this many homes, and most realtors don't have a lot of money in the bank, or they spend too much, or they're behind on their taxes. And so their philosophy is, we're going to change that, and you're going to have money in the bank, and you're going to file for your taxes, and you're going to save. And so they're not about gross income versus net income. When I got out of the core, I learned a lot of great fundamentals of how to run a business on a small scale. Obviously, I didn't have 100 employees like we do now, but I learned it on a small scale. Moving into SkySlope, there wasn't any coaches, more mentors, right? Like, who has done this? I've never had a startup and a tech company, a technology startup. I've had a real estate startup, but it's a completely different business. Where if my buyer's agent's like, hey, I'm leaving, goodbye, I can jump in and I can show property. If our team members now, I can't jump in, I can probably do account management, but or support, I'm not going to be really good at it. It's going to be pretty bad. So I completely had to learn and change of how do I motivate and inspire people, opposed to just be the practitioner and do everything myself. So it was a completely different mindset, but there wasn't any true coaching that I found for it. I wish there was, but I don't think there's any
It's actually interesting because in some ways you got like your own business degree through the coaching process. It sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. We definitely did that.
So how did I kind of jumped the gun? So how did the idea of SkySlope come about?
So at the time, this was in 2009. I was managing a lot of different properties, and a lot of clients would call and they'd say, "Hey, what's going on with my property?" And I had my own files, and back then it was paper files, all paper, big fat files like this. My assistant at the time, Jennifer, had her file, and then I had a transaction coordinator who had her file. And of course, my file was the worst file because it wasn't well put together. I wasn't good with the details. I was missing pages, and so I would always be scrambling to try to give client updates. And I just wanted one centralized place. And this was like before Dropbox was like big, and it's like there wasn't like this shared folder. You'd have to use like a Microsoft Exchange server. And so we built just something that was like dumb and easy. Like, here's the data. You type in the property address and some data points that
where'd you get your first dev team from?
So the first dev team came from India. I went on, it's a crazy story, I went on Elance, which is like a freelance website. And I was like, I'm trying to create something for my own business. It's a really cool name. It's called Smith Premier Properties Portal Inc.com. And so I was like, Mom, I got a domain. It's got our name in it. You're so proud. Like, I'm working on logos. It was the ugliest, longest name in the world, but I was a proud person of it. You know, I was cool. I loved it. And so I went on Elance and set it up, and they're like, it's going to cost $7,000. I'm like, whoa. That's a lot of money, right? Which now looking back, it's like that. It's a lot of money, but what we pay now and to get things done, like it's kind of comical. So I was like, well, $7,000 to build this. I wonder if it's gonna be good. And I negotiated them down to $6,000. I was like, I feel good, and they built it, and it worked. And so from there, it's like we used it, and everyone has ideas. So like, what about this? I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should probably do that.
But you were just your first beta user.
Myself and my team, right? And so my assistant at the time, Jennifer, was like, it needs to have X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, those are good ideas. And Annette was like, we need to change this. And so when I thought, I'll just buy this and it'll be done, and one day I'll sell it, it's like, here we are, 20 plus engineers now later, right? So it didn't work out quite like I thought.
So when did it morph into like a personal use tool for your business to being a product in its own? And by the way, where did the name SkySlope come from?
Dang, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that. So I'm going to set you up for context first. So everyone always asks that. So there's the real version, and then there's like the fake version. And the reason why I say that is because everyone says, what is the name? Scotty's like, what's the cool name? It's like, guys, first off, anything shorter than Smith Premier Properties Portal Inc. is a win, number one. That was number one. Number two was I was like, we were very busy as real estate. I separated myself from like the world and just went heads down with real estate 7 days a week, like 15, 16, 17-hour days, hardcore. And so we didn't have much time to like strategize. It wasn't supposed to be a business. The only reason I separated it from my real estate practice was because a lot of these other top producers were like, we want to use this. I was like, ooh, my legal was like, you should separate this from your real estate business because it technically is separate. And so that's the only reason why we changed really from Smith Premier Properties Portal Inc. to SkySlope. And so I still have the email today. My assistant at the time, Jennifer, said, hey, we got to pick a name. I'm like, well, pick something in the sky. That was right when the Mark Benioff book came out, when it was, I think it was called Behind the Clouds or The Cloud, where everyone's talking about the cloud. I was like, oh, it's a buzzword. Pick something in the sky, something cool. And she had like a lot of names that were really bad, and SkySlope was like, that sounds great. There's another one that sounds great. Throw it in a hat. We'll pull it out, said SkySlope, like, buy it. We're buying it. And that was it.
What was the other one?
It was not good. I don't want to talk. It was just not good. It was in the sky, but it was just like not good. We've had a lot of bad names that we've tried to name our digital signature True Sig. It sounded like a cigarette. It's just like not a lot of good names. Yeah. But SkySlope actually works, and people know it now, so it's great.
So how did you go from like the product, basic to where you basically had this sort of side, I wouldn't say a hobby, but it was a tool that you guys were using to its own company that really ran off. How did that process go?
So we used it internally, and that's where we really refined it. The way that I was successful in real estate was I went to non-competing markets. So I was in Sacramento, California. I'd go to Arizona and meet the number one agent out in Arizona, and I'd say, hey, I want to fly out, I want to pick your brain. And so how I built my business and learned some strategies was I'd seek out the best people out there that were not in competing markets. And what they would always say is, hey, this is how I generate for leads. This is my prospecting ideas. They'd always say, what do you use to manage all your files, man? I'd be like, oh, it's premierpropertiesportalink.com, of course, the best software in the world. And so they'd say, can we use it? I'm like, sure. I don't know. Let me call up India and see if we can get some licenses. And so they started to use it, and they were like, it'd be great if we can change, this. If you added this, it'd be more valuable. And so we just kind of built. They were kind of like my beta users. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really said, okay, this is a product that they're using and finding value in. And that's really when I was like, I think this is something great. And so that's when we brought on our first employee, who was in North Carolina, actually, at the time. He was an old friend of mine that was through a coaching company. We hired him, and he's like, I'll just sell it. And it was like ghetto rigged. It was like, hey, what's your credit card number? It's like you type it in. You couldn't press submit twice, otherwise it would charge the credit card twice. It was like really bad. But it worked, and he was just selling those items. I was like, whoa, this is great. People like it. And that's when we really got our first big client, which was...
So you were actually making revenue from day one?
Yeah. We were making literally our first client that he sold. It was a paying customer. Yeah.
How much did you sell it for?
So pricing was all over the place back then. I had no clue what I was doing. So first off, I was running my real estate business, super busy. I said, hey, Corey, you charge an activation fee. I don't even know how to pay you on commission, so I'll give you 100% of the activation fee, and you just charge whatever you want. So the guy got smart, right? He was like, these guys are willing to pay me $2,000 for activation. He was charging them $250 or $100 or $50 a month. So he was making all the money, right? But it really was great because I learned that it was a product market fit. They liked it. It worked for them. And the biggest value they liked is it was built like in a real estate practitioner's mindset. It wasn't built from like some big tech company.
So your first sales rep, essentially, we lost our thing. Your first...
It's a quick advertisement.
Let's get that. We lost our fire. So your first, your sales rep really determined your price, basically figuring out the optimal price then.
Not necessarily. Back then, yeah, but I think the market determined our price. They started saying, we're not paying $2,000 for activation. What are you doing to activate it? We're like, wow, that's a good question. So we didn't even have an activation team. It was like, here's we got lucky. Here's your credentials and you're done. And it worked. Now, if we don't give them an activation, specialist, it's like, they're like, what do I do? How do I log in? How do I work on this? So the market's evolved since then. Going paperless back then was like a scary item, and the cloud was like, where's my documents? Who owns them? Where are they? That's all changed, I think, with technology, but I think we just evolved our pricing once we just got a sales team on, like a true sales team. That was like an outsourced sales rep that was like an independent contractor that really was just a kind of a trial, I wonder if this is going to work. Let's just test it out. He's willing to work, as an independent contractor. He'll work his hours, and it worked.
So at what point did you make the leap from, because you had a successful business.
Sure.
To, basically, I don't think you're doing that anymore.
No, I sold my real estate practice about 3.5 years ago.
And so you made that leap to doing that, to doing the sky. In some ways that's pretty scary in a way.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was scary. So what happened was my real estate business, in coaching, what they taught you was to go from being I always look at it as like a technician to a manager to an owner to an entrepreneur, right? And the difference is a technician is you're doing the day-to-day. It's like you're in the grind, your hands, you're rolling up your sleeves, and you're doing everything. Then you go from technician to manager, and you're managing people. And then from manager to owner, it's like you're the owner, but you're still kind of managing certain things. You put people in place, and then they say entrepreneurs, like, hey, you're sitting back and you're just collecting, right? So in real estate, they taught you how to grow a team and build that up. So when I knew that SkySlope was something I wanted to pursue, was really when we brought on our second employee. When I said, okay, I've got to take this more seriously. I've got a true someone who's showing up every day. Our first employee, independent contractor, Corey, is in North Carolina. I talked to him here and there. He'd be like, hey, I sold 3 accounts. But I was like, I've got somebody here now that if they don't see me, it's going to be a little odd, and I can't just run my business. And so Jennifer, who was my assistant at the time, took over my entire real estate practice. And she knew how to do it. We set up the system, we set up the process, and so she took it over where I was able to focus more on SkySlope. So that still ran for a good 2.5, actually about 3 years post me leaping into SkySlope. So it wasn't really scary because it was new, it was fresh. it's like day one. Think about it. Like
Because you had someone taking care of your old business.
yeah, and I still worked with her. We talked, and I still technically ran it, but didn't run it. Yeah.
So, I actually had a chance to meet Tyler at SkySlope last Friday, and I was really impressed. And one of the things that really impressed me is that you talked about, and he actually, in this cafeteria, he actually has their values. And it's something that I've seen. I've been in many organizations that talks about values, but it's usually something that I've seen where it's like an employee handbook and no one ever looks at it. But my conversation with you really lived the values at SkySlope. Can you talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think it goes right back to where I was just talking about. When you think about, you go from a technician to a manager to an owner. When we were a small, lean, nimble team, we'd all work together. And so I don't think you really need to talk about your values. It's like everything's urgent. What's not when you're a 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 person shop. And you work so closely with everyone, and so they understand that urgency, because I'm like, hey, when's that coming? Come on, hey, I need to get this going right now, which I still do, but I mean, it's everyone's in one room, and so they understand that, hey, we got to think about the client first, and one of our core values is customer obsession. So those things were kind of, they came normal to us. As we grew, we found that not everyone's going to have that same mindset coming in, and not that the values got lost, but they're not lived every single day. Because everyone's not working with myself or DJ every single day. And so about, what was that, 2 years ago? 2 years ago? Yeah, a year and a half. I'm looking for answers in the audience. Yeah, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we decided, let's formalize these. And let's actually not only formalize them, but let's make sure that, everyone knows. Like, if you look at it, the core values is what defines us. What we build does not define us, right? We might build something tomorrow and we might trash it the next day. Markets emerge and products change often, but our core values don't change. That's who we are. And it's our philosophy in really what we're trying to accomplish as a company. I believe we can take our core values and go to a whole nother company and start a whole new company and be successful, because it's the foundation, the principles that we've built the company on. And so it's real important to us, the company. One of them is ownership, and one of our team members, our Nikki, our VP, got with some folks, and they created these cards, and it's like, hey, you got caught, practicing one of our core values. It's kind of like a props thing, and so we encourage it, as much as we can, and I think we do a pretty good job about it. I mean, I think people buy into it, they understand it, they understand. I mean, we go over that in our employee orientation. We have it on our website, but also our recruiting team actually makes sure that, hey, before we hire someone, hey, this is what you're coming into. If you don't like radical candor, probably gonna have an issue. Like, we like to talk about how things are, and if you can't have that open conversation and that's hard for you, it's probably gonna be a challenge, because we practice radical candor here. So we have a whole slew of great core values.
So looking back over, has it been like 7 years since you started?
2011 technically, yeah. Six years ago, I guess, 7 years ago.
Was there a moment that was like an oh shit moment? Like things could have been...
Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah. So
like something that was catastrophic, which could have been like the end.
Yeah, all the time. So I'll give you a couple examples. So DJ, who is our COO, who really came on and really is like a co-founder to the company, has come on and helped us. And the first thing he did is he was a mentor. So he actually hired our first employee as a friend of mine. So DJ actually came and did Startup Grind. So for those of you who don't know, DJ, him and I met when we were 20. We were the youngest ones in real estate by far. We gradually gravitated towards each other. He went off to college, did a startup, sold it, came back and said, I want to buy a house. I'm like, cool, I'll help you buy a house. One of my team members will do it, but you should do this. Check out this tech thing I'm doing. A lot of people like it. It's great. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. And I said, I'll help you find a house, because he wanted an investment property. And I said, I'll help you find a really great investment property, but you can help me with some of this tech stuff. You've gone through it. You've built a company. You raised money, and I'm writing checks every damn month. Let's talk. And so we did that, and so DJ came on, and I said, hey, at some point I said, hey, you hired our first, I think, 4 or 5 employees. I said, dude, move back from San Francisco. You're never going to be able to buy a place there for years. I mean, you're in a studio apartment for $200 or $2,000. That's like 400 square feet. So come back to SAC. You're SAC raised. Let's build this. where I'm onto something. And so he came back, and the first thing he did is our office was like a nail salon, and it was like a storefront about this big, and it looked like it was next door to a nail salon. I think it was an old like kitchen. I loved it, but it didn't suit his needs per se. So he came in and said, hey, this works, but you want me to hire a sales team. So I can't recruit the best sales team in this office. It ain't gonna work. So we need to find a really big office and a great one, like the tech startup. And I'm like, so to me, so it's weird because that was an oh shit moment because I'm like, well, okay, well, we don't have funding. I'm the funder, and so I'm gonna have to write a check for this, and they want a personal guarantee. They want 3 months up front, and I'm like, we're losing money. I just hired DJ. DJ wants to hire 5 salespeople. So that was, and we got a space with at the time 5,000 square feet. We thought this is like the Taj Mahal. It's way too big. So that's an oh shit moment. When you look back, it's like, oh, it's nothing, man. That's 5,000 square feet. Then you move into the next evolution of an oh shit moment when we've got maybe 50-ish employees, and you get sued from a $1 billion company. That's a really oh shit moment. You're like, do I keep funding this and we go out of business? And I lose all this, or do I just go back to real estate? And so that's a really big one. And then I think even going into our new building where we're at now is kind of an ocean moment. It's 20,000 square feet. I'm going from 5,000 square feet to 20. It's the evolution of oh shits, So I think I'll always say that, but I think what you do is you have to fight through those, and you have to know that, hey, you got to go to the end of this and understand what your purpose is here and what you're trying to build. And also, it's like, shit, I got a lot of employees that don't want this to go down. Let's keep running, baby. You got a lot of people now that you have to think about.
When you got sued by the $1 billion company, what was some lessons learned from that?
The best lesson was, so when you go through, so we had insurance, thankfully, but our insurance didn't really work. So the reason why was, well, it worked, but what happens when you have insurance is you're like, okay, you have a couple different things. What do? You just got sued. Well, it's a lot of money for attorneys. So usually insurance companies will give you an attorney, but the attorney is a $250 attorney, which, by the way, $250 an hour is a lot of money, right? But for a $1 billion company, and really the insurance company is getting a cut of that as well, it's not, I don't want to say this because it's not, maybe not the best, they're not your best interest. They get paid regardless, the insurance company's paying them, and I think there's great attorneys that are going to do well. But the lesson I learned was we had a great mentors and advisors, and they said, hey, you got to fight this like a war man, and this is a big company, and so you either have to decide if you want this company or not. And like, there's no doubt, I want this company. We're running. We're on to stuff. The reason why they came after us was really to slow us down. We were taking a lot of market share. We had a different approach to it. It was working for us, and it was a great product. It was really well adopted in the marketplace, and so we wanted to move forward. There's no doubt, no question in my mind. I would have spent every dime before I said we're not going to move forward. And so what I learned was, he said, we're going to hire the best attorney. You need to hire the best attorney. And so the best attorney, fortunately was $1,500 an hour. So I'm like, whoa, insurance isn't paying for this. We're paying $1,500, but these guys in San Francisco were one of the number one patent trademark attorneys out there. They said, here's what we're going to do. They were aggressive, and I said, this is what we're going to have to do. And they were fantastic. And they were great because they said, I'm like, how do we say this to our employees? I mean, this is my first time going through this. What do we say? I don't want employees to be scared. Are we going to have a job tomorrow? I don't want them to look. I mean, it was a pretty big deal for us. But the lessons I learned was hire some of the best attorneys if you truly believe in what you're doing and you truly believe in the business. And that was by far the best decision we made. We probably wouldn't have a business if we didn't do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, good lawyers is what I'm hearing.
Good, yeah. No, good mentors, because we wouldn't have done that if we didn't have good mentors.
Who are some of your mentors then?
So we got into, some of them were, I had about 6 different advisors to the company, and all sorts of different things. So some were just entrepreneurs that owned, I have one that was a great guy who owned a couple janitorial companies, right? All the way to some of them were our clients. We showed our client the software, they bought it, and then they said, hey, we'd love to help you out, help you grow it. And so my goal was always, and we switched them out quite often, anyone who would really teach me anything, or I'm a sponge, so any type of information they can give me, I wanted to absorb it and take it and apply it. So we had a good round of about 6 different advisors and mentors, and they were the ones who said, like, I'm going to hook you up with my son. He's an attorney. He'll hook you up with a great patent and a trademark attorney, the best. And so I don't think without that relationship, I honestly don't know if we'd have a company. That's interesting to think about when I go back there. Yeah.
A little scary if you think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So on the flip side, like, how did the acquisition from Fidelity come about?
Yeah, so being a company, one, we're bootstrapped, so we never took out outside financing. I funded it myself, and then we got it to a place where it was healthy. And then during that process, you always get a lot of people who reach out, like private equity companies. Hey, we'd like to invest. Hey, growth companies, where it's a growth round. Hey, we can infuse business. You can grow faster. We had a lot of interest always in the real estate technology communities. One of the, like, a very booming technology business sector right now. So we always got people who reached out. We're always like, hey, we're fine, we're not interested. And there's this company that it's a younger company, hands-on. They're in San Francisco. They're like, hey, let's hang out and we can give you some advice. And they always gave us great tips, and we always apply them. We're like, wow, that actually worked. Our sales went up. Like, great, free advice. And they finally said, hey, like, we're giving you all this advice. You obviously find value in us. We'd like to come in and infuse the business with some cash and grow it, and let's try to triple it. And my goal is always, is there a way to take this company public? I'd love to do that. That's definitely always been a vision. Long term, whether it's this company or another one, like that's kind of what I've always strived towards. And they said, we can help you do that. This is the path, and this is what we can do. And they gave us some pretty great terms for that. And so from there, what we did was we said, okay, this is some great terms. This works. And we did some due diligence. We said, private equity is great, but do these people buy into our vision? Do they have the same vision as we have? Private equity is usually, hey, we want to flip this in or have an exit in X amount of years. They didn't really have any intentions to go public or anything like that. And so when we took that, we said there's got to be some other folks that are interested. So we ran something called a process, and we talked to some key people, other private equities. We talked to some strategics, Fidelity being one of them. And then we also talked to some other strategics, which are like big real estate brokerages. And we went through that process, and we had quite a bit of interest. And from that process, we brought a couple forward, a private equity, really well-known one, and then also Fidelity. We were introduced to Fidelity because they shared, what was important to us going through this process was, one, we wanted to maintain control or maintain our destiny. We wanted to control our destiny. That was number one. Two, we wanted a partner that really cared about us, a partner that bought into our vision, a partner that believed in where we were going. And then three, someone who actually would, not get in our way, but kind of be the uncle on the side or the aunt on the side, like cheering you on and helping you where you needed to be helped. And there are two companies that actually we thought that could help do that. One, this new additional private equity company, and then Fidelity. When we went through and met with Fidelity, they said, hey, here's the deal. We've got, the people on the streets, they've got 3,700 reps. We just want you to win. We buy into the vision. Here's what we're trying to offer as far as strategic help. And it was a no-brainer. I mean, and even post now into it, it's even more clarifying that we've made the right decision, and even more so now that we see certain things that take place after with other private equity companies we would have gone with. Like, this company is all about growth, all about empowering us, all about making sure how can we help you but not get in your way, and how can we really help you? I mean, they've already come in and we've seen a huge intake on certain sales initiatives because they've got 3,700 sales reps out in the field. So they're helping cross-sell our product right now. And so it's everything that they promised and more. And the best thing is they believe in the vision of where we're going. Like, how do you guys get there? How do you get there faster? Let us know how we can help you get there. And so it's been a pretty good strategic partnership.
So where is the vision to where you want to go?
So there's a lot of things I think about in the real estate field. If you think about it, I think it makes sense to go back, and then I can bring you forward. Back in the day, if you're a real estate agent, you had a book. It was literally like this, and it had all the properties in it. And if you wanted to buy a home, you'd have to come and you'd have to knock on my door and say, hey, Tyler, I want to see a home. I'd be like, all right, hold on, let's take a look, and this is what it is. And it was my secret little black book. I held the power. All the realtors did. And then what happened was Zillow came, which everyone knows what Zillow and Redfin is, and they said, hey, we're going to make a pretty simple concept is, let's see what the house is worth. Who doesn't want to know what their house is worth? Now, even worse, everyone wants to know what their neighbor's house is worth because everyone's nosy, right? And so what that did was that exposed the home. It's funny, you look and when the MLS came out, everyone said, I'll never put my house in the MLS. I don't want Nancy next door to see our kitchen and all of this. And now if your house is on MLS, your house isn't selling, let's be real. It's just like when people said, oh, I'm never going to put my credit card online. My mom's mad when her 3-digit code doesn't match when she wants to buy something online, right? And so everyone says one thing and does something different. And so now this is exposed. And now everyone's looking online for homes. Now, arguably, you see a commission pressure for realtors because consumers are like, why am I paying 6%? I can go to Redfin. Redfin's going to, give me a discount here. Why am I paying you 6%, to list my house? I don't want to do that. I now know the comps better than you do. I know what my house is worth. Everyone's watching $1 Million Listing. Everyone thinks they can negotiate better than every realtor, right? Like everyone feels empowered to, why do I need you as a realtor? And so, our goal is to create technology that really helps the realtor and empowers them. I don't think real estate agents or realtors are going away anytime soon. DJ's buying a house, and it's the funniest process because he's one of the most well-educated realtors, understands it, and he's like, dude, I need help over here. Like, what's going on? I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like one of the best realtors I know. And so it's so clear that we have got a long way to go until you can click a button and swipe and you buy a house. But our goal is to automate as much as we can for the realtor. We know that realtors make a lot of different mistakes, myself included. What human doesn't make mistakes, right? So anywhere we can remove the inefficiencies that a realtor has and we can empower them with technology, to get to a place where it's a self-driving transaction. Anything like a Tesla self-driving, that's our North Stars. How do we get to a place where we can self-drive the transaction, remove all the inefficiencies so the realtor can really be empowered and do what matters most, and which for them is to prospect, to make sure their clients are well educated, to make sure their clients are happy, to provide value to their clients. And if we can be the platform that allows for that, we win, And I think at some point when people want true automation as a realtor, what happens is we're the provider that they want, the best in class, where we are pretty much doing everything for them, whether it be artificial intelligence, machine learning, or our TC sector. Like everything is happening behind the scenes through our technology where they can just be the front and center and build the relationships with their client. Because I think relationships are going to matter throughout the entire real estate industry, for years and years to come.
So if you reflect back on the past 7 years, how has your job changed over the years?
Yeah, so if you think about, I think about like rowing, right? Like rowing crew or something like that. So I went from like it was me and me and my buddy, and it's like I'm like the lead. I'm like a rower. Right. Now and then I went from rower to like lead rower, and then I went from, I don't know what those people are called when they're like screaming like row, row, but then, coxswain, whatever you said, yes. So then I went to that. Now, I don't even get to do that, although I try a lot, and my team will tell you. Now, I'm like the coach. And it's like, am I the old coach on the sideline, hoping that everyone learned how to row in lessons? And people will tell you at my office, I'm the coach on the side, and what you have to do is you have to, hope that you taught or you inspired or you hired the right person to do those things. Sometimes they'll tell you, I'm doing a belly flop in the lake and I'm holding on, trying to climb up, and they're like, get down, And so I've gone from kind of a rower, lead rower, to now I have to inspire on the side, and I have to, coach from the sideline, which is definitely tough, specifically for me because I love rowing, but I think we can get so much farther with me being on the side. It's
So you have to restrain yourself from rowing it?
All the time. Yeah, it's all the time. I'm super lucky. I love the business that we're in. I'm super passionate about it. It's I get paid to do a job that I love and that inspires me, and it's the coolest thing in the world. So of course I want to do everything I can. It's the coolest. I think it's the coolest time that so much is changing. When you think about my role now from the beginning, in the beginning it was that, and then practitioner. Now it's kind of I'm like PB&J, right? And I'm not talking about the PB&J I like peanut butter and jelly. It's I have to play, true defense as a CEO.
You have to tell them what PB.
Oh yeah, so PB&J for me is processes, bureaucracies, and jams, right? That's my goal. I have to remove the PB&J, and I have to play defense, and I have to make sure I hire and inspire the right leaders and the right team members where they can just play offense. So my goal is to remove all the chaos and just let them run the ball down the field, right? And I think that's how we win, because I don't I'm not hiring great people to not set them up for success. And so that's really a day-to-day now. It's like, they have a problem, how can I fix that? And how can I set them up? We used to be super big and it's a company where I play defense, but as a company we play offense, right? We're always trying to be innovative. We're trying to be on the leading edge. We're trying to actually build and invent on behalf of the customer, not build where we are, but build where we're kind of going. It's kind of like the Henry Ford, like everyone wanted, if you ask people, they wanted faster horses when really they wanted cars. We have to not only listen to the customer, but also really invent on their behalf of where they're going. Otherwise, that's when I think death happens, and that's not a fun place to be at. Yeah.
So I'm going to open up for questions to the audience. So, right?
I'm curious, you mentioned that there was a core difference in what you do that helps you, win market share against the billion-dollar company that's kind of after you. What in your mind is that core difference, and how do you, as you evolve your product roadmap, how does that, are you building it around that difference, or are there other new differences that you're trying to build around?
Yeah, so I think the first reason why we did pretty well against the other competitors, why we still do well, is because it's built, and it's not even built, in the beginning it was built by Tyler, right? Tyler had this vision of how we want to build. Now it's built by our team members, and the people that work at SkySlope they're probably literally, they can jump into real estate tomorrow and like they're ramped up. Like they know real estate in and out, better than a lot of the realtors. I mean, they coach the top brokerages in the nation. They train the top brokerages. They talk about high level all the way down to the details. So in the beginning, it was built in a real estate mindset. A lot of the other companies out there were built from a business mindset. The problem is real estate's a funky business. It truly is. It's and that's why it's so primed for right now disruption. Everyone's like, hey, let's click the one button. And slide, and you're going to buy your house, and you're never going to see it. And I think there's evolutions to that. That's revolutionary, but I think the real estate community is just slow. I always look at it like, my mom's from Green Bay, so I can say this. My mom's born in Green Bay, Wisconsin's years behind California. It's the same in the real estate. Real estate, the industry is so far behind in technology than any other industry out there. And so we are built from the standpoint of, let's not try to build a self-driving transaction. People will freak out. I mean, they don't even know what the cloud is, right? So let's just say, hey, we're a paperless system. That's what we started out with. Now it's like paperless, that's not even a discussion. No one's like, do you want to save paper and you want to go paperless? No one's like, what are you talking about? I'm on Dropbox, I'm on this, I'm on that. I mean, paper, people don't even think about that anymore. And so it was being the best in class and a true real estate practitioner. So to answer your question, a more broad is we built the product for the users, right? And now we still do that. It's the iterative process of understanding what the client wants, testing it, getting feedback, and building out a true, minimal viable product that suits their needs, and not trying to build, the Taj Mahal. Build and tinker and get feedback and iterate as fast as possible. I think that's one. I think the second is having we have some loyal team members. So the team members that we have bought in, they understand real estate. I mean, we got super lucky with some people early on that just really helped us transcribe it. I was doing everything, and then you train someone else, and they're like, wow, they're doing it the way. People like that because they were getting the first early on employees would learn real estate as if they were working in it with me, and then they took that and transcribed it to the client. The client got to see, wow. Sometimes our sales reps are like, were you in real estate? They'll ask them because they understand real estate so well. So I think just having a great team and then also building for the client, not building for what you want. I'd say every day I'm humbled every damn day by this job, because you're like, I'm going to build the next spaceship to Mars, and you show the client like, yeah, I'd never use it. You're like, what? I mean, it makes you more efficient, it's better, it's faster. It's like, yeah, I probably just wouldn't use it. It's like, you're killing me. And so I would use it. But the challenge is, guess what? They wouldn't use it. And so I think you got to eat humble pie a lot to understand what the consumer or the user wants. And I think that's what we're really good at. Yeah.
Jerry?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm a tech startup who started actually same Iran, started challenge in India.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to kind of scale up.
Yep.
So how do you think through as you scale up? How do you hire local versus abroad? And how do you?
Yeah, that was a challenge for us. So we started out with a company in Elance, a company that was fantastic with building our product at the time. The challenge was, you learn a lot now. I have a great relationship with that company. I'll meet them in Chicago now. They're actually in the U.S., right? The actual headquarters, which is pretty cool. But But I talked to them, and you know, you go through back of like, gosh, why this wasn't scalable. When we try to bring on another engineer in-house, they'd say like, gosh, this is really bad code on the early days. Like, we need to rebuild this. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just build it great from the start? How's this happen? And it's interesting because you learn. They go, well, you're on a budget, which I was. You want it built fast, and so we're going to build it the cheapest possible way. And so back then, I didn't know that. I'm just like, get this out. Yeah, push this. Come on, get it out. I got to get to the clients. Like, I didn't scale. What are you talking about? I'm a startup. I don't know what scale means. Like, you know, change this color. You know, do this. And every time you change something, they just add code on top of code on top of code. Next thing you know, it's like thousands of lines of code. You bring an engineer in that's an engineer that knows what they're doing in his town. They're like, dude, this is not good. So what we did was we brought on a team in-house. We made the transition, said we're going to hire somebody, and we failed even at that. We brought on someone early on that DJ worked with that was great, but didn't really fit with the culture, was kind of 1 foot in. I mean, we even failed at that in the beginning. But we started and brought someone in who said, how do you take over the control? And that's the scariest thing. We had 22, I think, overseas engineers at the time. And we had 2 U.S. engineers, and that's kind of when we started to do the transition of they started to take a little bit by ownership by ownership until eventually we started to scale that 22 down and scale our 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 up. That's how we did it. I don't have any this is how you do it scenarios more than finding someone really, really good that you can count on, that you can, you know, you can totally get buy-in on, that they take full ownership to take it on. But that was about, yeah, we're all headquarters in Sacramento. Our office is on K Street, off of, where are we at? 8th and K. I'm like thinking about where we're at. And everyone's in-house. So we have a little bit over 100 employees, maybe 110, 115-ish, somewhere around there. But everyone's in-house now. And we transitioned that. We haven't had outsourced technology really for over 3-ish years, 3.5 years now. But it was a tough transition, but I would say don't think everything's perfect when you have, I think you have different challenges at different stages, right? Like, to me, is you can build out the perfect, biggest scalable product from day one, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, but if you don't have any users, it doesn't matter, right? Now, if you're that confident in your product, build it to scale and do that. But our goal was fast, cheap, let's get people in there, let's iterate, let's fix things on the fly. And when we know that we have a product, then we'll actually build this for scale with engineering team in-house, and that's kind of our path of what we did. Yeah.
So one of the things I've heard from DJ is that you were basically bootstrapped until you sold the company recently, and that you powered everything through revenue, and you guys probably put some money into it too. And I think that's a great story for startups to hear, because a lot of people new to the startup world, they think the copy to success is investment funding. Sure. And you guys didn't do it that way, so maybe if you could share.
Yeah, that's a good question. So DJ had a previous tech company with a couple of his friends, and they raised funds. They did like an accelerator in Philadelphia, and they went through it. And so when I spoke with DJ, he goes, "Hey, I have our first original pitch deck, which is crazy." He's like, "We got to raise money. You know, we got to raise money because, you know, I don't want to spend my money. You know, and you don't want to spend your money." I'm like, "Well, hold on." But he goes, "Here's the challenge. They're going to control us. We have to burn through it as fast as possible." I'm like, why would we do that? Like, this is a great product. I know it's going to sell. Like, and I know that's the standard story. And one would argue, could we have moved faster and grew more? Potentially. That's arguable. I can't look back and say in hindsight. But our path was, I said, here's the deal, D. I said, if you're going to build the sales team. I said, I'm going to fund this as long as you keep building it and you keep selling it. And I luckily did well in real estate. My real estate business was still running. Jennifer was running it, right? And so I was able to take that. Now, when you go to an oh shit moment, like you said, there was a lot of oh shit moments. Like, oh, we got to hire these people. I'm like, we don't got the money for it. I guess I'll write another check. You know, Uncle Ty's going to go a little broke over here. You know, we're going to be eating top ramen, you know. Or, I mean, we now have people cater food, which is crazy. We used to eat hot dogs from Costco, $1.65. Like, I'll do that all day long. And so now it's like, hold on, you know, gluten-free, and, you know, it's like, you know, do I have, you know, avocado toast? And it's like completely changed. So we did that intentionally because, one, we didn't really want to be controlled because, you know, DJ said, they're going to make you burn through this cash. We're going to have to grow fast. And I said, well, let's grow at our speed. and let's actually I think we can actually become profitable. And I think we weren't profitable. We could have easily became profitable and slowed growth, but our goal was, hey, we're not losing a ton of money. We're losing money, and that's great. Like I didn't take a paycheck till 2016. You know, and we started in 2011. Like, you know, so it was month over month over month over month of like write checks. But DJ would keep increasing sales. We kept seeing that it was valuable. I kept buying in, saying, hey, let's keep doing this. And we had an agreement and said, hey, I'll keep funding this as long as I see sales go up, as long as you keep running the sales team on this, and you know, you and I stay true to each other. And you know, that was an important part because you know, you get co-founders together and they're fighting in this, and we bumped heads a lot. And I said, hey, we've got to be real with each other because there's a lot of money on the stake on the plate here. I could be doing my real estate business, which is making great money, and you could be doing a lot of other things. So like, let's be real with each other. And so that was the decision we made. And it worked out, you know, it worked out great for us. And so when you think about your company and starting the company, you might go, well, hey, Tyler, I didn't have a successful real estate business. What would I do? And I'm trying to provide value. What do I do? I think there's friends and family. I think there's, how do you actually get one paying client? Like, I built SkySlope to start with $7,000. It was an actual product that I used for myself and others. Like, you know, we built our original digital signature product literally for $5,000, which is bizarre to think about when back then you're like, oh my gosh, I mean, how am I going to pay for the last phase of our digital signature when, you know, it's like if we didn't build that digital signature, our company would probably not be around. And it was built originally for like $5,000. So we're super scrappy. I think that was the key to it. It's like we just did what we could to get by, and we didn't need, flashy things. When we moved into the new office, it was like, how do we do this on a budget? It was like orange and dirty AstroTurf and like a porta potties outside, which is crazy, like, which were really expensive porta potties, by the way. But we were super scrappy just so we can get by to do the things that mattered the most. And for us, it worked out, you know. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't raise money, or you should. And for us, that's how it worked out. There's several companies that are bootstrapped that have made great money, and there's several companies that raised money that obviously have had pretty big successes. So I think you have to see what fits you the most and your need.
At the end of the day, you guys owned more equity than you would have.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah.
So the payoff was hopefully good.
Yeah, the equity was a portion of it. That wasn't that important to me. What was important was that we can create our own destiny, you know. And you know, coming from real estate where it's like, hey, this is the path we're going to go and we're going to run, and then to have to report numbers, like, it was great. It was like, go to DJ, like, all right, I've got a board meeting. What are we going to do? You know, it's like to have a formal board meeting and have to actually go and say, these are the numbers why we didn't hit it, and we wanted to try. It's that constant run. I mean, DJ gave me horror stories, so I think that kind of was a little fearful. It wasn't really the equity part. It was like, hey, I didn't want to run into what DJ, some of the things he ran into, and I really wanted to just, hey, let's just build this, man. Like, I don't know. I'd have to go back pretty far to think why we decided, because logically all the checks that were written does not make sense. But
you controlled.
Yeah, like if we wanted to hire 5 employees, I don't want permission. I want to hire 5 employees, you know. If we want to invest in a new technology, that's why Fidelity is great. It's like, hey, we want to be able to still do what we want to do. It's like, you know, we don't want to, you know, have to go into some corporate conglomerate where it's like so much change. And there has to be some change, I get that, but we want to be able to move fast. Anything that changes our speed is a big concern of mine. And so, yeah, that's kind of the path that we went, yeah.
Yeah, just to follow up on the question before, you described some of the technology challenges that your companies face.
Yeah.
In terms of bringing the development team in and also scaling, I think. Are those the biggest challenges that your company has faced, or what are they, and what do you see going forward as technical challenges?
Like tech.
Technology, building the product.
Well, I think so. So I think there's at different stages of where we have been different challenges, right? Like in the beginning, it was we had tons of bugs. A team over in India that didn't understand our processes. We were waterfall, and transition from waterfall to agile was a challenge. I think there's evolutions of where you are within your business are challenges. I'd say if you're looking for the questions like what the technical challenge you have right now is, having enough engineers where you can actually, build fast enough, because we don't have a shortage of products. We have a shortage of, finding talent and hiring them, bringing them in and bringing forward. Scaling is still, I think scaling is always going to be a problem, Think about it. Our business, we managed, last year we closed a little bit under 1.7 million transactions. So it was like 1.65 million transactions in the US. It's a pretty big number. You have to understand, we go through cycles. So you can imagine the real estate business, it's slow during December and January. So we're now coming up on spring, it's about to get hot, right? And so we're not only, we have to think about scaling on, okay, we have all these new users that we've onboarded. Not only that, it's also a busy time of the year we're getting into. Are we going to be, how do we scale our technology where we know that we're going to be sufficient through those times? During those slow times, it's going to be easy. So I think there's always, what's nice is now we have enough data to know when the busy and slow times are. But early on, we'd be like, why is the system going down? Why are all these users on? Well, shoot, it's the last 2 days of the month of the quarter. People trying to close stuff out. You didn't realize that early on. You just were like, oh, gosh, wow, why are all these users on the product? So thankfully those days are gone, but I think we're always going to have technical challenges. Scaling it, getting a database that's even more scalable. Now our challenge is, how do we take the data and use it to our advantage? We have 1.6 million transactions. How do we use that to empower our realtors where we can automate a lot of things for them? That's a really big challenge. How do we get into artificial intelligence and machine learning? That's a big challenge, especially when you have a lot of data. When we have 1.6 million transactions, we have all the public tax records in the United States, and we have MLS data. That's a lot of data, and there's a lot of great things that we can do to empower our users with it. And so that's a big challenge now of how to figure out and problem solve for that. So I think you have different problems throughout where you're at with your business. I think in 5 years from now, we'll be laughing and we'll have bigger challenges. You always have challenges. They never stop. I think it's how you fight through them and how you set people up for success to actually execute on tackling them. Yeah.
Ted, you had a question?
Yeah, what's been your family's reaction to your journey and your success?
Oh, super proud. So my dad passed away years ago, but he'd be super proud. My mom's obviously super proud. I love my mom. It's like sometimes I gotta, Mom, can you stop posting on Facebook? It's like, I don't even go on Facebook, so I learn what my mom says through my friends. Like, oh my gosh, do you see what your mom put? I'm like, no, what's mom doing now? But super proud. I have my family, I'm grateful. I have a great family who just, has always been there for me and just wants me to grow. And, my mom's awesome. She's fantastic. They've been awesome. My mom's, she's goofy, but she'll always say things like, oh, what's next? What's going? She's super supportive, but also always saying, where are you going? And I think that's just how we were raised, my brother and I. Yeah.
So I use SkySlope and actually look at a real estate startup.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What company? We'll give you some, what company?
Kendrick Real Estate.
Oh, cool.
So we did about 250 transactions through, so now 1.6 million.
Nice.
A little bit, but
Good.
You guys got a really, really great customer service platform.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you went about building that process, because it's like that every single time you could make an inquiry.
Yep.
And so I gotta imagine there's a really, really sophisticated process.
It's weird because it's not sophisticated as far as the process, but the people are great, right? So but it does look like it's very. We got some people here in the audience, yeah. So what happened was, in the beginning, one of the biggest selling challenges and roadblocks we ran into was, think about it. Average. So right now, back then it's changed. Average age of a realtor is 54. You're a very young realtor. Average age of a broker is 63. So you have to imagine, go back into time, 6, 7, 8 years ago, the biggest challenge of selling was, I can't have my agent, we sell to the broker, we sell directly to the real estate broker, broker then gives their licenses to the agents. Says, dude, I'm going to, hey Tyler, I'm going to give this, technology to, I don't know why I'm doing a weird, funny voice like that, but some of our clients have accents, but you know what I mean? Hey, I'm going to give this technology to my agents, they're going to be calling me at 10 p.m. I'm like, that's probably right. They're going to be calling you at 10 p.m. So in the beginning, I said, we're going to create this live chat thing. And literally, I didn't even put my own photo because they can't talk to the CEO. It seems like we're way too small. So I literally used my friends' photos and my friends' names, and they would click support. And I'm a workaholic, so I'd be up. I don't sleep much. I sleep 4 to 5 hours. It's weird.
You're catfishing all your customers.
Pretty much. Yeah, but I wasn't asking them weird things, okay? But yes, I guess you could say that. So they would ask questions. And so I learned a lot of tickets come in. And I also learned real estate agents are up all the time. And I knew that because I was up all the time. They're writing offers at 10 p.m. And money never sleeps in real estate, right? And they're getting things now digitally signed at, they're setting up their contracts, writing offers at odd times of the hours. So right away, we said, we're gonna do this in-house, and we did it. So every employee, the first 4 employees were like support, we're handling this. From there, we said, okay, we always said we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which in the beginning, it's not really a lie when you're constantly on your phone chatting. In the beginning, you can do it on your phone. As we've scaled, we've gotten technology that's helped us do that, but it's a pretty cool system. What we do is we guarantee our clients, we're around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 all in-house. We close our doors really 1 to 2 days. It's really a half a day for Employee Appreciation Day. It's our employee day. We want our employees to be fully off and enjoy the day. And then we also have, the second one is our kickoff party. And
You guys are working Christmas and Thanksgiving?
we're always on.
Wow.
Yeah. And sometimes we'll do one rep, we'll let them work from home, but we're always on. And not only that, we guarantee a phone pickup on the second ring. So if you call, which we can test, but if we call right now, we will get a phone pickup on the second ring. We'll get a live chat within 10 seconds. And now I have employees in the room, so they're going to say I'm BSing on this, but we get an email return in 5 minutes? 20. So the sales reps say one thing, I say one thing. So 20 minutes, there you go. So we do that, and if we don't actually meet that SLA, we'll send a gift card to the user for $5 to Starbucks. So think about this. If you call and we pick up on the third ring, the worst case is you get great customer service and you get a cup of Joe on us. You're not going to complain to your broker. You're going to call your broker and be like, I just signed up with SkySlope. I love it. I got a gift card, weird, and by the way, it was awesome support. You can't lose. And so we set that up because you have to understand how the real estate market works. 20% of the realtors do 80% of the business, right? So it tells you is 80% of the agents do 20%, meaning 80% of people in this room will only do a transaction one every 3 months. So if I teach you guys, which you guys are all tech savvy, but if I teach you our platform and I do a training for all of you right now on SkySlope, 80% of you won't come back to our website for at least 60 to 90 days. And when you come back, you'll forget everything I taught you. And so the challenge is you're like, well, what do I log into? What's the domain? What's my password? And so we said we have to be able to have the best customer support in the marketplace. So that way that 80% still feels the love. And that, you know what, we don't have a client who cancels because that one agent who does one deal every 6 months doesn't feel the support. And so you've seen it. I talk about it. You can't. The best thing, one of the best things in our application and are part of our company. But the hardest thing to sell because people don't truly get. They're like, oh, really? Everyone's 24/7. Oh, come on. It's like you don't understand it until you really have experienced it because it is really good support. You can't lose. Go call Comcast. SMUD, PG&E. I'm ready to shoot my brains out, right? And now you're like, I'm getting a pickup on the second ring. Who is this? Where are you? It's like, oh, I'm in California. Yeah, it's raining. So we had that in the beginning. It's just scaled and it's evolved and it's gotten better. But it's the way that we've built it is nothing special. It's just technology that the team members make it. The team members I call them the front line. They're the ones that are talking to clients when they're happy, talking to clients when they're mad, and guess what? You might have just got them on the wrong day. You know how it is in real estate. The sky is falling, the roof is moldy, and my client's complaining, and it's a stressful business. And now the support reps, who are awesome, have to sit there, and it's their fault all of a sudden, right? So it's a hard job. It's not an easy job. It's I'd say one of our most challenging jobs in the company because they work 4 days a week, 10-hour days, nonstop, hardcore, and it's not like they get up and they're like, woo, hey, how's it going, Shelly? I love your hair, it looks great. No, it's and they're talking to 4 people at once. They're on a phone call, screen share. It's high impactful, and I'd say the team members make it more than the software. The software is kind of the mints on the pillow, and the support reps are like the hotel. You don't go to the Four Seasons for the mint, you go for the hotel, right? And so the software that combines it's really just the just the things that connect them. The team members are the ones that actually make it happen. So yeah, they're here. They're fantastic.
I'm not even a customer, and I tried to chat like, and it was a good experience.
There you go.
I didn't have any serious issues.
So you might
I didn't have any serious questions or anything, but if you get a
you might be getting a gift card.
Okay, I can take one more question. All right.
So I know about SkySlope because of the meetup that you guys used to host, the Angular, and that,
Yeah.
as far as I know, actually led to at least one of my friends joining your company.
Cool.
Could you talk a little bit about like the value that because that's sort of unusual.
Yeah.
To have a company host a meetup internally the way that you
Yep.
guys did.
Yeah.
I actually thought you guys were a co-working space for the first like
Whoa.
3 meetups that I went there with.
You want to pay us some? You want to pay us some rent? Hey.
I actually spoke to how you guys didn't force, didn't, hey, by the way, this is what we are.
Yeah.
It's like, well, come on in, just,
Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I've had this plan since the beginning. No, so I wish I could take the credit for this awesome thing. So Darren, who's in recruiting, I'll probably pass the mic to him, although I'm up here. He came up with this idea. So we hired an internal recruiter who was fantastic, and he said, hey, here's the deal. Like, yeah, I can call people and get them to come in, and that's great. But what we should do is try to really create this buzz and create this ecosystem where people feel like they want to come and we're putting ourselves on the map. And one of our core values is ownership. Take ownership. I had zero to do with it. Sometimes we'd say show up, shake some hands, talk to the people, but he ran it from start to finish. The main goal was, how do we create a great culture? How do we give back to Sacramento? On our wall it says Sacramento Proud. We are Sacramento Proud. So how do you get folks to come in? But really, how do we say, hey, we're here to help? We're putting our stake in the ground and trying to say, we want to contribute to the tech scene in Sacramento. How do we host it at our office? We think it's a great venue, a beautiful venue to have it at. If people can see that and there's outsiders, they might say, whoa, Sacramento, I might want to come here. This is awesome. And we thought we had the best platform to do it on. And so Darren says, I want to do it. And I said, great. And he orchestrated the whole thing. So I'm sure he can tell you a lot more about that. But we now, I think it's like a recurring event that we do. And I think it's been pretty successful for us. And we've gotten some recruits, and it wasn't just for recruiting, although, it's always the icing on the cake. But it's how do we show people there's a great culture here? How do we show people that we want to help, and we want to give back to people? I think we're a pretty big company now, to over 100, and we'll grow quite significantly over that. There's companies that I wish I could have gone to for a meetup when we were 10, or 5, or 3, or 30, and to be able to create that platform for that, or that medium for it, we get to do that. It's amazing for us, but also, I wish I could have done that, or gone to something like that. So I wish I could take the credit for it. I'm more just the supporter and the cheerleader on the side, but
Coach on the
coach,
shore.
yeah, and he's completely came up with it. But yeah, I'm glad that you found value in that. That's really cool.
So is there anything as a community that the SkySlope that the community could help you with?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question.
35 racks.
What's that? Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, there is something you guys help us for. Darren's looking at me like, come on, man, the one thing. We're hiring for a lot of different roles, so we're obviously hiring. So take a look at our website. If you know great team members that you think that are phenomenal, obviously send them to our website. There's a careers page. You can check it out. We're hiring for, I don't know how many different types of roles, 7 or 8 or 9 different roles, but probably over 25 plus 30 actual fillings that we're trying to fill. 29, so 20, there you go. So it's quite a bit of people, but we're looking for folks. So anytime that we can get help, we have a small, nimble team of recruiters, and we have obviously people that are looking for careers, but just like my real estate business, we like to work by referral, right? We have one of your friends works at SkySlope and was referred by the Angular meetup, and so anytime we can get referrals and fill those recs, it's great. Of just great people. Even when we have a rec open, if someone that's really great, we want to interview them. We want people who are hungry, that have an entrepreneurial mindset, that are ready to come, inspired, and to inspire. So, but yes, thank you for the setup there. Yes, I obviously failed at the setup question, but yes, thank you.
All right, so final question. Who's your favorite superhero?
Superhero. There's a lot. I grew up with Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously, which I don't know if that's considered a superhero.
My son would say so.
Yeah, Iron Man obviously is like I can keep going. I mean, but those are.
Well, you're a local hero for us, so we actually created the Android game for you.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. Look at that. All right.
All right. So
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming out.
Hey.
Thanks for supporting our company.
Thank you.
Good round of applause.